What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Dangle Bet Selly, powered by FTN, right here on Game Plus Network, presented by PointsBet Canada. Chris Meaney and the Eric Young here with you on this Tuesday. 10 games on the ice tonight in the NHL. We have a battle of a couple surprising high-scoring teams in the league and a few Canadian teams in some matchups as well. In matchups, we were off to a hot start here. EY, what's going on? It looks like you're rocking a Buds jersey over there. A little Winter Classic Maple Leafs. Is that what I see?
Yep, Winter Classics, Phil Kessel.
Nice.
Coming off my Mexico bender and how I barely drank water and drank a ton of booze and ate French toast every day and gained almost 20 pounds. I was thinking about Phil Kessel. This is a Phil Kessel jersey. I wore it at the Winter Classic in 2014 at the Big House. Yeah. And he's a miracle, right? I mean, he's an absolute miracle. He still hasn't missed a game. There's all these crazy stories about he's like this work, like he doesn't work out, but when he does, he's stronger than everybody. His legs are crazy strong. But he doesn't like the taste of water, so he doesn't drink it. Obviously, he doesn't look physically imposing or physically impressive in any way. And he's one of the greatest athletes of all time. So I've decided that I'm going to work out for another year. And if I don't get to where I want, I'm going to go with the Phil Kessel model. Stop drinking water, eating hot dogs. I don't think that's a real thing. Only working out when someone challenges me, and being the greatest athlete of all time. He's a freak when you really think about it. I don't know why I was thinking about that last night, but I was. I'm like, I'm going to wear the Kessel jersey today. So that's why I got it on.
It's fitting. I'm glad you had a good time in Mexico and you made it back safely. And it sounds like you had a really good time. I mean, who needs water? And you can just drink booze nonstop and French toast, insane. Right? You're a big French toast guy. If you had a choice between waffles, pancakes, and French toast, that would be your choice, French toast?
Yeah, I think French. Well, so you have to understand the French toast at this place, like, it's not like it was made on Wonder Bread. It was like this thick, like, brioche. Dude, it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I need it out of there. 20 pounds.
20 pounds.
That's to gain. I'm 5'11". To gain 20 pounds in 9 days is impressive. Really,
it is impressive.
I'm back down to 233, so everything's fine. And,
yeah, I mean, as you say, you get rid of that. You get rid of that 20 pounds in like a couple of days in your bonus room. No problem. Hit the ice.
Yeah, that's where I'm heading right after this. Yay.
Up and down the ice in the bonus room. Nice, fantastic. I saw a top 10 World Juniors. You know, you're familiar with Canada and SportsCenter. I'm sure ESPN does this as well. I watch a little bit of ESPN, but TSN always has these like top 10 like highlights towards the end of their shows, and it's kind of surrounded around, you know, things that happen in sports. Like, so the other day, I mean, the Bills, tremendous, like, just pinch yourself a mile alive, chills in the back of your neck when Nyheim Hines returned that punt. And then there's like a top 10 like yesterday and of like top 10 punt returns and things like that. So when Connor Bedard just lit up the World Juniors with a couple nice goals, they showed the top 10 World Junior goals of all time. And Phil Kessel was on that list at number 2 for Team USA back in the day. A little end-to-end inside, a couple defensemen, and then he roofed it. And still, to your point, getting it done, you know, not missing a lot of time in the NHL, scoring goals, and a lot has been made of his diet, you know, in the NHL and things like that. But hey, he's made it work. Good morning to everybody here on the show. 10 games on the ice. We are going to get into it here in just a second. Troy Nowak in the house. How do you feel about Kirill Machenko? I don't have a lot of thoughts, to be honest. I know he's a Columbus Blue Jackets prospect. I think he scored a hat trick the other night on 8 shots on goal. A former second-round pick, I do believe, just a couple years ago. Getting an opportunity. We'll see really what he's made of, but it does look like he's got a little bit of a scoring touch there for sure. Troy, what teams do you think will have a strong second half to the season? I'm thinking the Kings, Jets, and Avalanche. Maybe we can get through all of that as we progress here in the show when we look at some matchups. But you and I had a bit of a chat in the green room before we got going about just the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers. I think we don't need to get into the Oilers like we did last week. We talked about them the struggles, the inconsistency. But I'm looking at the Stanley Cup playoffs in the West, and I see the Oilers and I see the Flames in a wild card spot. I see the Seattle Kraken in a playoff spot, and I see the Colorado Avalanche not in a playoff spot. I would feel like the Avs go on a run as they start to get healthier. Nathan McKinnon is back in the lineup. Evan Rodriguez is back. Valerie Nichushkin is close to returning. I don't think you'll see Landeskog for quite some time, but that's a team I expect maybe to, I don't know if it's like as flip a switch. It's mostly health. They're healthy. They're going to get into the playoffs. They're going to go on a run. The Kings are probably playing their best hockey of the year right now. I mean, Copley's got in there and he's taken over the number one job. And I don't know how consistent.
Insane. Like, it's insane.
He's playing really good hockey, and the Kings are playing great right now. And they looked much better than the Oilers last night. And the Oilers looked like a very, very frustrated hockey team last night.
Yeah. It's we've talked about Copley and how insane that is. The Phoenix rises from the ashes, and there's not a single person that had Phoenix Copley on their bingo card of goalie saviors. If you weren't a believer in Jonathan Quick, then you're like, well, it's going to be Cal Peterson. They paid him. He's going to be the goalie of the future, and he was worse than Quick. And Quick obviously had a massive fall off, and that was LA's, I think, the biggest reason. Like, they don't have superstars, right? Like, they don't have guys that are like a McDavid or a Draisaitl that's going to score, pretty much every game. I think, Fiala was a huge get for them. Offensively is a very, very good player. He's really starting to play with confidence right now, which we love to see. He's been shooting the puck, but a little bit snake bitten in the goals, and those are starting to fall for him now. LA Kings is a team at the start of the year that, under the influence, but I definitely bet on them to play for the Stanley Cup. I think this is the Los Angeles Kings that I thought I was going to see. I did not think it was going to be Phoenix Copley, but good for him. Good for him. It's a cool story. It's been around for a while and has never ever been able to get his footing. Wasn't even a backup. Was playing in the AHL, and here he comes, and he's the savior of this team right now. And when you get a save, the players start to not grip their stick so tightly and cheat a little bit offensively, and then the goals start to fall. So that's cool to see. And I'd say, like, another interesting story, and I'm biased, yes, but the Nashville Predators are making this Western Conference thing real interesting now, man. This is what I thought we would see from this team. And I think they've got kind of the right pieces in place now. The right players are playing. They're healthy. Yossi is a monster, and Juuse Saros, probably in the last month is probably the number one goalie in the league.
He's on a heater right now. There's no question. He had the 64 save performance against Carolina the other night. I think it was 64 saves. And then last night he had the shutout in Ottawa. And just looking at Nashville at their 5-5 numbers, this is a team that's given up a lot of rubber. Before last night's action, they were inside the top 5 in shot attempts allowed, shots, high danger chances, scoring chances, expected goals against. But Juuse Saros, to your point, he was great last year, and he was off to a bit of a slow start at the beginning of the season, but he's been fantastic here. And you're right, like, that's one team that I feel like is going to go on the run. The Jets are 1 point out of first in the Central. Like, they've been really good. Yep. Now that Nikolai Ehlers is in their lineup and Blake Wheeler's back, they're maybe even better moving forward. Josh Norrison's going to be in the Norrie, aka Norris, conversation as the best defenseman in the NHL, and Connor Hellebuck is great. I would say on the outside looking in, it's Colorado, right? At 43 points, just 2 points back of a wild card spot. Just 4 points back of the Minnesota Wild for third in the Central, and the Wilds, without Fleury here for the next little bit. I could see Colorado getting in and Minnesota getting bounced, and then maybe one of those two Canadian teams in Calgary and Edmonton, or the Kraken, out of the playoffs, and maybe getting Nashville in there. 7-1-2 the Preds in their last 10, but also the Kings and the Kraken are 7-2-1 in their last 10. And Philip Deneau is very underrated still, I think, in this league.
Yep.
A shutdown center who has had his way with Connor McDavid. These two teams played each other in the playoffs last year, and it went 7, and there's some bad blood, and it carried over last night. And also just he's contributing offensively. So the Kings are dangerous. We both like them heading into the season. We had some questions about their goaltending. Still some, but some more answers. But yeah, 40-1 for the LA Kings. They're a team that we really like on the rise, but I think Colorado's a good bet. Dustin, good morning. Welcome in. A diehard MMA podcast. Welcome in. Good morning. He says he's kicking himself. Chickened out on the Flyers last night would have been a no sweat. Yeah, if you would have bet on Bet365 up early, 3-0 in the first, you would have got that right away. Big day in the NHL. Can't wait. Don't disrespect the hot dog Iron Man. That is Phil Kessel. Let's get after it. 10 games on the ice. Let's start in Buffalo between the Sabres and the Kraken. Mentioned Buffalo Sabres. They played last night. 2 of the 3 highest scoring teams in the NHL right here. Who would have thought it? January 10th.
Just like we all predicted.
January 10th. The Buffalo Sabres, the number 1 scoring team in the NHL in goals per game, despite getting blanked last night on home ice. The Boston Bruins, number 2. And number 3, the Seattle Kraken checking in at plus 102 on the road. Last night, they took care of the Habs pretty easily. I really like the way that this Seattle team plays, man. They play fast. They're on top of you a lot. Their forecheck is aggressive. We've talked about their goaltending, and Martin Jones picked up the shutout last night, and you can take it with a grain of salt. He's had some good games, had some mediocre games. I think ultimately that may be the reason they don't get in. But, man, this Kraken team, I think we said it a couple of years ago when you and I were doing a show over at The Athletic about Vegas, right? A lot of players in the team that, weren't wanted, were let go from their squad. They got a chip on their shoulder. You see Matty Berners, who's the Calder favorite here, picked up a goal and assist last night. They've added offensively, whether it's Oliver Bjorkstrand, Andre Burakovsky's up on that top line. Jordan Eberle's been moved around. He's got a lot of experience. Vince Dunn couldn't find a home in St. Louis. This guy's got 8 points over his last 5 games, picked up 3 last night. This Seattle team's playing really good, man. Really, really good hockey. Do you think that they are a team that gets into the playoffs? Like, would you bank on them in?
Man, I feel like I'm going to say no. I mean, an impressive season. I think it just comes down to, like, there's no way I can trust Martin Jones and Philip Grubauer at this point. And I'll say right now they're playing well and playing well enough to get Seattle into the playoffs. But I don't think, come the end of the season, I think that it will be close. You know what I mean? Which, as a hockey fan, it's all you can ask for. Like, I mean, the Eastern Conference last year was figured out like around this time, right? Like, it was like, okay,
these guys are figured out right now.
Yeah, and
it's January 10th, and we already know Toronto's playing Tampa Bay in the first round. Like, buckle up, we get ready for it.
And that's no fun, like that's no fun for psychos like us that watch all the games and care about all the teams and all the players like real lunatics. I think Seattle's taken a massive step, and it's awesome. I think that them being a really cool and good franchise is good for the NHL and, good for the Western Conference and good for a lot of the players, like you're saying, that were cast-offs or weren't covered. A favorite of ours, Yanni Gord on the team, assistant captain, someone like Larson, the defenseman is like, look, he's not putting up numbers. He's not like a person that you want on your fantasy team in a scoring league or something like that. Mm-hmm. But he's been dominant. Alexiak has been very good. It's a really cool team, and I think this is them being this competitive is a real point to analytics and that approach, and it's proving out to work. It's like the opposite of what Edmonton is. Edmonton is, they've got Draisaitl and they got McDavid, and then nothing else really. I mean, Hyman, yes, and Kane when he plays, and when he comes back, I think that'll be a big boost for them. But I don't think Seattle makes it. I think it just has to do with not a ton of playoff experience as a group, and it's just the goaltending. I don't trust it. Yes, he got a shutout against the Canadiens, but I still don't trust it.
Yeah, I still don't either. Andrew Berkshire in the house. What's up, boys? Yes, Andrew. Maybe we'll see him again Thursday. He is the host of Game Over. You weren't able to join him for the last Canadiens game against the Predators. You can check out Andrew on Twitter. He's a good follow, from SDPN Sports on the Twitter machine. And your Preds in action, I think, tomorrow against the Leafs, and then they'll play the Canadiens on Thursday in Montreal, and they'll do a little something special for a PK there. So that should be a fun game. John in the house, morning, fellows. So I think I agree with you. It ultimately may come down to the goaltending, but man, I really like the way that this team plays. 5-5, they don't give up a whole lot. They're very stingy. They were stingy last year. They didn't get the goaltending last year. Getting a little bit more goaltending this year, but yeah, ultimately they're going to need something in net. It's too bad. I thought Chris Driedger, he's hurt, right? But I thought last year he showed more promise than Philip Grubauer. But I guess it just goes to show when you're in a system like Colorado, you can play really good. Although Grubauer had some moments in Washington too, but man, he's been one of the worst goalies in the league over the last 2 years. But anyways, for this game tonight, I like goals. I like offense. The Sabres got shut out last night. I don't think that they, get shut out again. We have a total here of 6.5. I have to lean to the over on that. I mean, we talked about the Sabres, number 1 in the NHL in goals, the Kraken, number 3 in the NHL in goals. I'll toss it over to you for some goals, but the Kraken were very, very good to us last night. There was a lot of great value. Vince Dunn was plus money for a point. Jordan Eberle, Matt Beniers were basically even money for a point. That top line, if you want Burakovsky, Beniers, and Eberle over at Bet365 for a point parlay, that paid plus 375 against the Canadians, a very leaky squad as well. And, the Sabres can give it up. They can score some goals. They're on the second half of a back-to-back. I mean, they could score 3 or 4, but they could also give up 3 or 4 as well. I think we'll see some offense tonight. Could be a fun game.
Yeah, I think so too. When you talk about offense, you got to talk about Tage Thompson. It's too bad that Connor McDavid exists, because the whole world would be talking about how good Tage Thompson is. I think like the Hart and the Lindsay Trophy are already decided, right? Like Connor McDavid's going to win them. And I mean, part of me's hoping for them to miss the playoffs and just watch the
What
world.
if the Sabres get
watch
in?
the world burn?
Seems tough to get in, but
yeah.
Oh,
So
you know what? Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. I think we already had it. But if the Oilers miss the playoffs,
oh man,
something significant has to happen, more so than a coach or a GM getting fired. And I don't think McDavid's going anywhere, but we could see Nugent Hopkins or Draisaitl. We could see one of those two. I wouldn't be shocked if they got moved, honestly.
I think it's necessary. But anyways, so the Buffalo, I got Tage at 105 and Dylan Cousins. He's playing on the centering the second line and centering the top power play, and he's at plus 240. So I really like that. On the Seattle side, Jared McCann has played really well. I mean, he's been really, really, really good, really noticeable when you watch the Seattle Kraken play. And Beniers has been, I think he's going to probably win the Calder. I know there was, the goalie in Carolina had a stint there that looks like it could be coming to an end for him. He hasn't been very good in the last couple games, and Beniers has been pretty consistent, right? For a young guy like that, centering the top line, playing the top power play, tons of responsibility, and he's done really well. So he's a player that I like to watch, and he's at plus 250 to score. So I really like that as well.
Yeah, I'm going back to him tonight too, guys. Last night, from on Mean Streets, we had him for a point and for a goal, and it was plus 250 for a goal, and he's still plus 250 for a goal, as you just mentioned, and minus 124 for a point. So I like him, and again, there's some value. The Kraken are kind of spread out. These are very different. Like they're both near the top in goals for. Buffalo's kind of heavy first line with Cousins. And Seattle's kind of just spread out all over the place. Like there isn't like an elite goal scorer. Like Matty Beniers is kind of leading the way. The last 30 days, Bjorkstrand's first in shots, but he hasn't done a whole lot. Eberle's near the top in points, but there is a lot of value to be had with these guys to hit the score sheet. Like Jordan Eberle minus 110 for a point. I'm into it. Burakovsky minus 130 for a point. I'm into it. And Matty Beniers is, I'm seeing over at FanDuel, he's minus 124 for a point. And all of those guys got, at least plus 150 for an apple. So like last night we had Matty Beniers for a goal, Burakovsky assist, and also Jordan Eberle for an assist. That paid like 11 to 1. So keep an eye on that top line. That's the way I would go. And Vince Dunn, again, is plus 100 for a point tonight. And he's playing really good. Right?
I've always liked Vince Dunn. He's a good player.
He was just kind of buried on a St. Louis team that had good defensemen that never really got an opportunity.
Buried, and I mean he's a little dude, right? Like
he is a little dude.
It's hard to get a ton of important minutes at that size. Like, yes, he can skate and he can pass and he can shoot and he can do all these things, but as far as like bodying guys in front of the net and winning battles along the boards and tough plays in the corner, he's just at a disadvantage. I don't care what you say. Like, I mean, he's obviously an unbelievable player. I like him. I've always liked him. I always thought he could do more in St. Louis, but like you said, he was buried. Going to Seattle was great for him, and he's been really good. I mean, pretty much since getting there.
Yeah, he's playing his best hockey. He's got goals in 3 straight games. He has 7 points over that span, 8 in his last few. Actually, really 10 in his last 6 games. And he's had 12 shots on goal in his last 3. He had 6 last night, 3 against Ottawa and 3 against the Leafs. He's at 1.5 shots. It's juice, but you can have a same game. Like I'm going to do a same game parlay here with like Tage Thompson to score, Tuck for a point, Skinner for a point, probably Tuck shots 2.5. I'll have that top line with Burakovsky, Eberle, Matty Beniers, and then I'll chuck in like a psycho one more, and it'll probably be the one that screws me. Would be a Vince Dunn point. He's plus 390 for a power play point as well, right? It's a little greedy. It's a little greedy in there. But some of these guys, like Jordan Eberle, was plus 790 for a power play point last night. He had 3 shots on the power play. He was so close to a power play point against a Canadian team that had taken more penalties than anybody in the league. So it's just something to keep an eye on. There's a lot of value on this Kraken team, and they're one of the highest scoring teams in the league. Who wins it? Who wins the game tonight?
I think Buffalo wins.
Bounce back.
They're playing at home. Comrie, I think, is going to get the start. Losing last night to the Flyers, like, you better be pissed off.
I'm sure they are. Bob Wolf in the house. Pro tip: drop leftover French toast in the toaster. In the toaster, he says.
Great tip, Bob. My pro tip for you is don't leave French toast on your plate. And gain 20 pounds in 9 days. Whoops-a-daisy. By the way, my other job is that I work in television in my underwear, so I'm going to have to fix that.
We did get a little bit lucky, diehard MMA podcast, with the Matty Beniers empty net goal. That's cheating. Tonight he gets a real goal. We did get lucky, and sometimes you got to have a little bit of luck, right? Matty Beniers goal assisted by Eberle, and we were celebrating. We cracked the bottle of Kraken, and away we went. Adam Redkip in the house. What's going on? Petrified to bet shot on goals versus the Kraken. Yeah, I mean, I totally get it, right? As we said earlier when we broke down this team, they're very stingy. They don't give up a lot, 5-5. They're inside the bottom 10 in terms of shot attempts and shots allowed at 5-5 per 60, according to Natural Stat Trick, over the last month of the season. But I do like Alex Tuck. Just takes a couple power plays there. Gang's all here. Skinner going to have a goal tonight. Adam Renkamp says down the road,
Good.
Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots is his lock of the day. Yeah, absolutely. Lock of the day. And Nathan McKinnon, I would take him at over 5.5, I think, honestly, at this point. But let's keep things moving. We got a really good game in Carolina tonight. The Hurricanes at home, minus 145. The Devils checking in at plus 136. This total is at 6. I did see some 5.5s last night. I'm not seeing any more 5.5s. You can get under 6 at plus 100. I don't know if you want to go that route, but man, Jack Hughes is on the board here. Sebastian Aho's back. We talked about Max Pacioretty a couple weeks ago, and scoop him up if you can, and play this guy where you can in terms of goals and shots. And Pacioretty had 2 goals the other night. He didn't get the shot prop. The first night he had 6 shots on goal on 9 attempts through, I think, 15 minutes of ice time. And then in the second game, he only had 2 shots, but both of them found the back of the net. I really liked the chemistry right away from Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, and Max Pacioretty. I thought that they were just clicking. Seth Jarvis has had a pretty quiet sophomore campaign, but he's been really shooting the puck over the past week and a half. And then another guy that we touched on, I think, maybe a couple weeks ago, but he's outplayed Jesperi Kotkaniemi, who's playing on the fourth line, is Paul Stastny. Stastny is centering Martin Necas and Andrei Svechnikov, and he is hitting the score sheet lately as well. But Jack Hughes on the left, I don't know if there's a bigger lock of late in terms of a shot prop guy than Jack Hughes. 10 shots on goal in his last game, Eric. He had 2 goals. The game before that, he had 2 goals and 9 shots on net. This guy has had at least 6 shots on goal in 6 straight games. He's had at least 4 shots on goal in 9 straight games. And over those 9 games, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 goals. Man, this guy's on pace for 100 points. It's here. We said at the start of the season, he's got 100-point potential. We didn't know if we'd see it this year. Man, he's cooking. He's fantastic. And I know it's a tough spot, but it's really hard to shy away from him tonight.
New Jersey Devils are a fun team to watch, and Jack Hughes is quickly becoming one of my favorite players to watch. I've said this a million times. It all has to do with confidence. It's not like he learned these new skills. Like, he had this. I mean, all the players in the NHL are unbelievable. And, there's obviously, minute skills that separate the really great players to the good players. Hughes, obviously was thought of highly, was drafted highly, had a ton of responsibility right away. It's not like he was a bad player, but he was just a young player. And being that age and you're playing against guys that could be your dad and they have old man strength and can open any jar, it's a lot to take on for a kid that age. And he's here. He's arrived, and he's playing with real confidence. He knows it, and you see it, that he's one of the best players on the ice every single night, and that's a win for hockey fans. So yes, I have him to score. I've got Bratt to score at plus 200, Svechnikov and Pacioretty on the other side. You were saying that Pacioretty, Aho, Jarvis line, it's perfect. They have everything that a dominant line needs. Aho in the middle, really good 200-foot player, really good vision, good skater. Jarvis working hard, peeling pucks, battling along the boards, and Pacioretty's the shooter. I mean, if you're to design a line, that's it. That's the line.
It looks pretty good. It really does. Jack Hughes is 4.5 over at DraftKings at plus 105. I knew it would only be a matter of time before the 4.5, but he's 3.5 over at Bet Rivers at minus 118 and over at Unibet as well. I don't think I'm going to get involved with the 4.5. Even though he has 19 shots on goal in his last 2 games, it's 5 against this Carolina team that has allowed the fewest shot attempts, the fewest shots at 5 and 5 per 60. It is asking for a lot, but I'll get involved with the 3.5. And on the other side, Pacioretty at 3.5 is plus 136. So I definitely will have a little bit of a sprinkle there as well. I'm with you on a Pacioretty goal, and I like Jack Hughes as well. Hughes is plus money for an assist just because it's the matchup. Usually he's at 1.5 points around plus, I don't know. It's been anywhere from, a couple weeks it was plus 186. And during this run, it's dropped down to about plus 134. But now he's juiced to just have 1 point at minus 200. So that's not one that we can really get behind. But Seth Jarvis for a point is pretty interesting as well at minus 108. Who do you like to win this game tonight? I like the Hurricanes on home ice.
Yeah, I think the Hurricanes on home ice, and I think I think the Kochetkov is gonna start. That's how Lefling has got it locked or labeled right now. It's not confirmed, but I think he has a big bounce back game here.
Okay. Diehard MMA podcast. We actually had a conversation about this in our FTN Daily Discord channel. We do have free trials happening right now if you want to be part of the FTN fam for a little bit. FTNdaily.com/free. You can see optimizer projections. We have optimizer projections in the NFL, NBA, and PGA. Unfortunately, not in the NHL. But we do have, the Discord channel. We have the FTNbets.com/free. You can get all of our picks across all sports, and we keep track of everything. Tools, projections over there as well on Discord channel. But we had the conversation about Jack Hughes, and we actually were on the other side that we kept playing Jack Hughes. And because of guys like Jack Hughes, we're able to fade like an Austin Matthews. And that was the conversation of fading an Austin Matthews. The other night he was playing Detroit, and he's had a good season, but he's not running away with the goal scoring lead like he did last year. In fact, I think there's like 20 some odd players that have more goals than Matthews. One of them is Cole Caulfield. Who would have thought that? But that's why we like Hughes, that we can play Hughes and avoid some of these other superstars potentially. But you're on the other side of that one. Chikrin 2.5 shots minus 145. Chikrin. We'll get to that one in just a little bit. Renkamp says plus 225 for Max Pacioretty point, power play point. Sign me up. Yeah, that's not bad. I like that one. You're looking for some value. He's going to be the trigger man on that power play. Let's keep things moving. Minnesota and the New York Rangers tonight. So Fleury's away from the team, a personal reason. And then we have the Rangers at home at minus 135, the Wild checking out plus 125. I'm seeing the best possible odds there. I don't think it's the end of the world. Like Fleury misses a little bit of time here. Because Philip Gustafsson has been playing really good. I looked deep into his numbers yesterday. The fantasy hockey article is live over at ftnfantasy.com, just the weekly waiver wire article. And he's got a solid 924 save percentage. He's got a 2.25 goals against average. He's 9-6-1 through his 16 games this season. So I don't know if they're going to Fleury's obviously really good. And I think he's got a higher ceiling. But Gustafsson's been playing really good lately. He played Tampa Bay the other night and he stopped 34 of 35. He's on a little bit of a run here. I kind of have a lean to the under as long as it's, and I think Halak's hurt. So as long as it's Igor, and I know Igor hasn't been super consistent, but I kind of have a lean to the under here in this game. And I don't know if Zuccarello is going to play. So he's a guy to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, this is a really interesting game for a lot of reasons. I think New York Rangers is another team we could have talked about earlier on as having kind of like this midseason push. Um,
Yeah,
they've looked pretty good the last month or so. Like you said, Shesterkin hasn't been who he was last year, but I don't think anybody thought he was going to replicate a season like that again. I think they're improved as a team, and he doesn't need to be who he was last year for them to be highly competitive. And I think we're starting to see that now. Um, Gallant moves the lines around a lot, especially the
Oh
bottom
man, too
six. Like he's
much.
just, like they have Kravtsov playing up in the top six, but he's not playing any power play time, and you're wondering what's going on there. But if you got Lafreniere, is he a bust? Is he not? And I was like, to me, I don't think he's ever really gotten a full opportunity yet to play where I think he should be playing in top six and playing power play because of who he is and where he was drafted. But this is a very interesting game, like you said. I like Zibanejad to score. Another one of my guys that I just love watching this guy play. Such a good player. And I've got a gut feeling on Kravtsov playing on that second line. I think he wasn't on the power play their last game, but today could get moved to it. I think that they want to see what he's going to be, or maybe showcase him a little bit for a trade. Could be a thing, and it's just not a fit for him there, and he moves on to somewhere else. Obviously, Kaprizov. Anytime you're going to give me plus odds, and DraftKings is giving us plus 140 for him to score. And Hartman has been playing really, really well. Anytime I've watched Minnesota, he's really jumped off the screen to me, and he's at plus 310. So I like him as well.
Yeah, we had Hartman the other night against the Sabres. He jumped up on that top line. We had him anytime. We did the same thing with Matty Beniers last night, like a point. We had put 2 units on a point. We had him for, a unit for a goal and half a unit for an assist, and he had a goal and an assist in that game. But the last game, he was removed from that top line. He's still playing in the top 6. They got Matt Boldy with Sam Steele and Kaprizov. So I think Boldy's pretty interesting tonight for a guy like over 2.5 shots. He's got 4 shots in 3 straight games. He's minus 137 for 3 shots. He's minus 116 for a point, and he is plus 260 over at FanDuel for a goal. So I do like Boldy, but I don't know. I just have this feeling it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't feel like we're going to see a lot of action. So I'm kind of shying away from all of it. Panarin's actually hit more times than not over the last 5 weeks or so. He's plus 100 for 3 shots. So maybe consider him. I like the under in this game. And I wonder if the Rangers trade one of those kids for a bona fide stud to kind of get them over the top. I think that's
the move.
I think I would do it if I was New York. You feel like they're right there.
Right there.
Get another stud, maybe inside the top 6. I think would kind of push them over the top. We'll see if they do make that move or if they stay patient with some of those younger kids. The Penguins at minus 180. The Vancouver Canucks checking in at plus 168. The Canucks are just a mess, man. They really are. I think they should be shipping off some of their assets and maybe get themselves in the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. I like some goals here tonight. They played the other night. I think it was like 7-4. They can't keep the puck out of their net. Bo Horvat continues to score goals. I just think we'll see some offense. I got to lean to the over here. And Jake Gensel woke up the other night, and he's too good to keep off the score sheet. Guys are streaky in the NHL. Once they get going, that's it, man. Like you start to see a big run, and I think we'll start to see a big run here for Jake Gensel. I mean, he scored 2 goals in his last game, and he hadn't scored since December 15th. He had 6 shots in that game. He's got 9 over his last 2 games. That's 17 goals. It's not like he's having a dud year, but this is like a 40-goal scorer. So I think, a matchup against this Canucks squad, I mean, he might get a hat trick.
Yeah, we are in lockstep, man. I obviously follow along. And like you said, like a drought like that for a player like Gensel is actually crazy, right? Like to not have a goal since December 15th. And then he scores 2. And if I was to guarantee someone to score tonight, it would be him. That's just what I feel. If I to pick one player, you say one player that's going to score tonight, it's him. Two goals the other night, playing against Vancouver, who's been brutal. Goaltending is brutal. Gensel is the trigger man playing with Crosby. So, yeah, I got Gensel. Ricard Raquel is maybe playing the best hockey of his life, which is really cool to see. I know Brian Burke talked about him and saying, like, he was a player that he wanted to go after. He was familiar with him from Anaheim and whatever, and he went after him and got him, and he's been really good for Pittsburgh. On the Vancouver side, Horvat has been the man. Every time he scores, it's like he's adding another 25 grand to a paycheck. And I couldn't find is Elias Pettersson hurt? He wasn't on DraftKings. But
I'm not seeing him actually either right now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
I'm not seeing anything next to his name. It doesn't sound like he's hurt or anything. But you're right. I always see him on DraftKings for shots, but I don't see him for goals. Here, let me type him into the prop shop. It's like Google search, guaranteed to be there, guys. He's fantastic, and he is over there. He is only on FanDuel though for a goal. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, maybe DK and other books are sleeping just right now. He's plus 184 for him to score tonight.
Sign me up.
Over at FanDuel. Jake Gensel. Absolutely love it. Let's see what we can get. Is he at 2.5 still for shot props? He's a little bit juiced. He
was the first person I had
for a little bit.
My 8-way parlay, just so you know.
Gensel?
Yeah.
It's a Gensel night then. Score or bust. Jake Gensel plus 145 for 2 points. I think the big line has a night tonight. Crosby and Gensel, these guys are having a goal and an assist each or something like that. Since you're so into Gensel and I was too, I may put down like a little sprinkle on a Hattie tonight. Jake Gensel. The Canucks are brutal. Like, they're awful. The goals against this team, I mean, 5, couple twos, back to twos. Like, okay, maybe they're getting some goaltending, and then 4, and then 6 to the Islanders, and then 7 to the Jets in their last game. One guy I do want to bring up though is Kuzmenko. Kuzmenko is playing with Andre. He's playing with Bo Horvat. He's got points in 4 of his last 6 games. He's even money tonight to pick up a point. So I like the over in that game. So I will ride with maybe Kuzmenko to get a point. We'll go Kuz. We'll go goal here from Gensel. We'll go. I think Gensel needs to be put into like some sort of parlay. Shot prop parlay with somebody else that's maybe juiced. Maybe we can find one in a little bit. But I think Gensel. Oh, look at that. Adam Rankam's got one for us. What a guy. Jake Gensel, 2.5 shots, and Nathan McKinnon over 4.5 shots parlay, plus 161 DraftKings. So there it is. There's your parlay, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you, Adam. But yeah, I think Gensel has a night here tonight. I think we see some offense. Columbus and Tampa, I don't really have a whole lot to add here. Sorry, Troy. I just don't. The Lightning minus 155 to win by 2 goals, plus 120 to win by 3 goals. I know the Blue Jackets have hung around with some teams. Kent Johnson has played good. We've talked about him. It's just, I don't know, man. They're just not very good at the moment. And Tampa Bay is. So that's my analysis. Bolts, Braden Point, back in the net. Brendan Hagel, point. Brendan Hagel, goal. Maybe Brendan Hagel assist. Seems to be value with Hagel. And he's been fantastic, man. All year long, he's been really good. He just fits in perfectly with Kucherov and Braden Point. So, like, I just continue to go at him every single night. Hedman just had a baby. He scores tonight. I don't know if Hedman's going to play, but keep an eye on that.
Love the player, too. I've got Point and Stamkos on the Tampa side. I've got Laine and Kent Johnson on the Columbus side. He talked about Marashenko, a player that I'm familiar with. I have him in our salary cap league, so that was really happy to see him score that hat trick. I think we may be playing this week. I'm not sure.
I think we are. Yeah,
I think we are, and I'm going to play Marashenko with that, but I'm not going to say him to score here. He very well could. After coming off a hot trick, he's playing with confidence, and there's not a lot to choose from on the Columbus side. Unfortunately, with so many injuries, and they're just so beat up, man. It sucks for Troy and Columbus fans, but there's something happening there for sure. I think next year they could be a very competitive team if they stay healthy. But yeah, it's Laine and Johnson, Stamkos and Point for me in this one.
I will say that Nyquist, he finally moved, right? Gustav Nyquist was at 1.5 shots around minus 130 for what felt like an eternity. He's 1.5 at Bet Rivers at minus 150. He's 2.5 plus 112. He's been shooting quite a bit. I mean, to ask for 3 is a bit of a I don't know. It's a little different. I know it's just one shot, but it is a lot different, especially against this Tampa Bay team. But he has been playing really good hockey. Braden Point 2.5, like that'd be a guy that I'd put into maybe a parlay as well. Maybe if you don't want to go Nate and you go Gensel and Braden Point, because of the matchup, right? Braden Point, I'm seeing -150. That's a little steep to put into a as a single bet. But the Blue Jackets give up just so much that he should be able to get a couple here and a couple scoring chances as well. Let's keep things moving. Winnipeg and Detroit. We have the Red Wings on home ice. It sounds like Tyler Bertuzzi is going to return tonight. He practiced with his old buddies on the number one line, Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond, who has had a very, very quiet season. Detroit's +125 on home ice. Winnipeg, you could still get at -130 over at BetMGM. I put that in the bet tracker last night. I'm seeing -150 over at FanDuel, -135, most other spots. I like the Jets tonight to win. Again, Nikolai Ehlers, as you see there, he's back. He's in the lineup. And he is, I believe, one of the most underrated goal scorers in the NHL. I think he's phenomenal. His shot props at 3.5. So just goes to show you what books are thinking from him. That he's, a good chance to kind of put 3 or 4 pucks towards the goal. He's +158 for an apple, and he's playing with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor. So I think he has a night tonight.
Yeah, I like that. Like I said, the rule, if you give it plus odds, I'm saying Kyle Connor to score. He's turned back into Kyle Connor, +100. Mark Scheifele at +150 to score. On the Detroit side, I've got Larkin and Robbie Fabry he's touched a bunch of categories, throwing his body around, scored the other day, playing with confidence, playing on the power play. Really like Robbie Fabry tonight.
I don't think he's ready to play back-to-backs, but Detroit's not on one, so he should be good and he should suit up. And yeah, he's been a nice find for Detroit. Unfortunately, he hasn't been able to stay healthy, but when he plays, he seems to hit the score sheet, seems to do something, every other night. I just don't have a good feel for this Detroit team, man. They've been super inconsistent this year. Sometimes they show up and it's like, wow, they look really good.
Yep.
But they haven't gotten any goaltending lately at all. Do we have?
We haven't talked about the Vrana stuff. Vrana on waivers, and then nobody claims him. Steve Yzerman's
It's almost like Steve Yzerman kind of just said, guys, I'm putting this guy on waivers. He's gone through some personal stuff. We need him in the AHL. Don't claim him. I don't think that happened, and it's ludicrous to even talk about him. I'm hearing it in my head, and it's like, what are you even talking about? But it's weird to me that nobody claimed him.
He's one of the, statistically, I was reading this thing. It may have been, I want to give the person credit, but I can't quite remember who it was, so I'm not going to try. But they were saying he was top 5 on 5-on-5 goal scoring. He hasn't played, but when he plays, he's just such an offensively dominant player. And statistically, it proves out through analytics. And the fact that he wasn't claimed by anybody, there's something going on there. You hope he gets healthy and gets himself right and gets the help that he needs and comes back and plays. But the fact that they waived him and nobody grabbed him, there's obviously more to the story than we know. Because I could probably name 10 teams that could use Jacob Vrana right now.
Easy. You could
Edmonton Oilers.
Oh man.
I don't think they can afford him, but
I don't think they can afford anybody. That's why they have below average hockey players in their bottom 6 that can't make passes. I feel like being hard on the Oilers, so I don't know, for some reason today. I watch Edmonton and I could see the frustration from McDavid and Draisaitl, and it reminds me of being a Los Angeles Angels fan when I watch Mike Trout play, and it's like just wasting the talent from these guys. I know the Oilers went to the 3rd round last year, but if this team misses the playoffs, again, you've got to have a bit of a shakeup. I think the Jets win tonight. Ehlers, love the Connor call, of course. I think that top line has a night. What I wanted to say, we do have Ville Husso, who's confirmed. Guys, Ville Husso's last few games, 3 goals allowed, 5, 4, 4, 4, and 5. Not good. Not good at all. So Jets are probably going to get, I'd say, 3 or 4. Get some goals from that second line. I think the long shot goal scorer may be Perfetti, just playing on that second line with Wheeler and your boy Mark Scheifele there. Jets win. Dallas Stars, New York Islanders. Islanders at home, +100. The Stars are checking in at -113. You just had to put it into the atmosphere last time we had a show about Rupe Hintz, didn't you? You said you had Rupe Hintz on all your teams, and he was suffered an injury and all this. And now Rupe Hintz is sidelined. I'm blaming you. for it. He's questionable to play tonight. He only played 5 minutes the other night. Looked like to me a knee injury. I don't know. I was joking. Obviously, I didn't blame you, but hopefully he's okay. He's just a terrific player. We talk a lot about Rupe Hintz, but if he doesn't suit up tonight, we're going to see Tyler Seguin jump up on that top line, and Seguin playing with Jason Robertson and Joe Pavelski. He may have a few shots tonight. He may hit the score sheet. He could be a sneaky goal scorer for us this evening if there's no Hintz.
Yeah, if there is no Hintz, and the truth is, I like Seguin to score tonight either which way. I played on that second line and playing on the top power play. But I got a star beside him because just that reason, like we're saying, like Rupe Hintz might not play, and if he doesn't, then Seguin's going to move up on that line. Robertson, DraftKings is giving us plus 130. He scored in almost every game he's played. So yeah, please, I'll go ahead and do that. And then the regular guys on the Islanders, Nelson and Lee.
All right. Seguin is plus 124 for a point, and he is plus 250 for an assist. And he is
plus 260 for a goal.
He's plus 340 over at FanDuel for a goal.
Well, there you go. And that's why you use the prop shop, because I live in Tennessee and can only use DraftKings. So
the prop shop is just so cool, man. I just love it. But I mean, DK at plus 260 is really nice as well. But I always have a hard time with players against Sorokin, even though the Islanders, we've had this conversation so many times. It's not the same stingy team. They're not great 5-on-5, but Sorokin is such a good goalie that he makes me a little bit nervous. But I'm the Seguin. I just think Seguin's at such good value here tonight for an assist, for a goal, for a point. And I do like the Stars. As long as Ottinger's in net, I like the Stars. And I have a lean to the under, actually. If it's Ottinger and Sorokin, I know it's at 5.5. We don't see a lot of 5.5s. I see like a 3-2 game or something like that. We got to get out of here. We got to say goodbye to Game Plus. We got a couple more matchups to talk about here. We're going to dive into Calgary, St. Louis, San Jose, Arizona, and then the last one is Florida and Colorado. We're going to wrap up with our favorite goal scorers and our favorite picks and shot props. So if you want to hop over to our FTN Network YouTube page, we appreciate you. Free, iTunes, Spotify, a Game Plus Network. We always appreciate you guys. Good luck on the ice, and we'll be back on Thursday. Check out ftnbets.com/free. Okay, let's continue on. Let's wrap up with these 3 games. We got the Flames here and the St. Louis Blues. We have a total of 6, and we have the Flames favorites on the road, pretty big favorites at minus 160, and the Blues at plus 146. The Blues went into Toronto and they had that win, and it was the first game since, they had, those injuries, Ryan O'Reilly and Vladimir Tarasenko. They came together as a unit potentially and found a way to win that game. And then their very next one, they lost to the Canadians. I got Mikael Backlund on the board there. Backlund's not scoring a lot of goals, but man, this guy is shooting a ton. He is at minus 107 for 2.5 shots. It's weird to me that I keep going back to him like a third line player. But Eric, his last few games, check this: 6-3, 4-4, 2, 5, 8, 3, 4. So he's had at least 3 shots in 8 of his last 9 games. And the one game that he didn't was against the Kraken, and he had 2 shots on goal in that matchup. So I'm not really calling him for a goal here tonight. He only has 8 on the season. He's got 2 over this stretch, but the shots are there. Sutter trusts him. We know that he plays in all situations. So it's probably one of my favorite shot props tonight, honestly. 2.5 for Mikael Backlund. What you got over there for goals?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a really good player for a long time. It is weird that a third line guy that doesn't really play top power play would have that many shots. It just, I don't know. In a way, it kind of makes me feel like he's still like a little bit reckless with the puck. I mean, a guy that's not playing a ton of minutes and still not amount of shots. Like maybe there's a better option than you just flinging the puck on the net. But I don't know.
Keep doing it.
He's a much better hockey player than me. So do your thing, Mikael Backlund. Calgary, I got Toffoli at 185 and Huberdeau at plus 195 to score. On the St. Louis side, Kyrou at 220 and Buchnevich at 200. Tarasenko and O'Reilly being gone is obviously very problematic for St. Louis. They were in a problematic situation before they lost probably their 2 best players, and now those guys are out. But Jordan Kyrou and Robert Thomas have stepped up, and they've looked really good the last couple of weeks. Braden Shen has looked decent. Even Saad has looked pretty good. But yeah, I like Buchnevich to score and Kyrou to score on the St. Louis side, Toffoli and Huberdeau on the Calgary side.
Yeah, Shen, the other night when we did the show, I said over 1.5 or whatever, and this guy had 0 shots. But he had 2 goals in his last game on 2 shots, and there were a few games ago he had 11 shots on net. Against your Leafs, he had 4 shots on net. I mean, he has seen a boost here in ice time with some of the injuries playing on that second line with Saad and Barbashev. But I would go to that top line if you're looking for some Blues goals. Jordan Kyrou, Pavel Buchnevich, those guys that you called. But the Blues have been very leaky. They're giving up a whole lot. So I like the Toffoli call. And I think, maybe taking a shot on Huberdeau or something like that. Like, the guy just has not been the same this season. But a Huberdeau goal at plus 280 over at FanDuel, I think, is decent as well. Albert in the house. Quick note: Vancouver 18-1 on the road to score a goal in the first 10 minutes. It's not bad.
Wild. Yeah, that's
it's
wild.
Not bad. I mean, we like I like the over there. I have the Jets. It's Hellebuck. The Canucks can score. Can't keep the puck out of their net, but they do play to a lot of overs. It's not a bad call there, Albert. We appreciate the note. 18-1 is pretty good value, like pizza money or something, for the Canucks to get a goal in the first few, and it'd probably be Bo Horvat because the guy's shooting like 88% this season. Arizona and Seattle or St. Louis, or my goodness. Let's try this again. Arizona and San Jose in here next, plus 120 for the Coyotes. MMA, diehard podcasts. Coyotes at home. Battle of Connor Bedard tonight. Sweepstakes, minus 134 for SJ Sharkey. I keep going to Hurdle. I just like Hurdle a lot. I think I'm a sucker for Thomas Hurdle. But I also just like the odds. It just seems to be decent odds. Like, again, he's plus money for 3 shots. I don't know why. We get plus money for 3 shots for Thomas Hurdle. He's plus 106 for an assist. He is plus 180 for a power play point. Not ideal, but plus 235 for him to score a goal over at FanDuel. I mean, he's had 3 shots in 3 straight games. I mean, you go back and look at his last 20 games. I could think off the top of my head, he's probably hitting like 13 or 14 of those games. He plays a lot. Timo Meier is fantastic. So there's 2 guys that stand out to me, and I know that Troy brought up Chychrun at 2.5 is not bad, even though it's a little bit juice. But Clayton Keller's been shooting, and Thomas Hurdle's been shooting. So those are the 2 shot prop guys for me tonight.
Yeah, I got Timo Meier at plus 115 and Couture at plus 220 to score. Arizona side, Keller, of course, at 150. And I can't quit Lawson Krause. Like, he's not playing on the top power play, but he is playing on the second power play and playing on that second line. Man, I don't think they'll trade him, but I kind of hope that he ends up somewhere and we get to see him play on a really good team. I really like him as a player.
Yeah, he's a really good player. Right camp too, Timo Meier against goal scorer. That's a parlay for you. Yeah, Timo is the safer play. I mean, you're not going to get as nice odds as Thomas Hurdle, but I think both of these guys could actually find the back of the net against Arizona. I don't know if diehard MMA podcasts is still hanging out here, but we could give a little bit of love to Barrett Hayton, who is a former top pick, I believe maybe 2018. I don't know if it's been that long, but he's playing on that first line. He's got 4, 5, 6, 7 points over his last 7 games. Let's see. Can we get him? What can we get for him tonight? Plus 420 for a goal. I'm in. That's it. It's my long shot bet of the night.
Here we go.
Barrett Hayton. Plus 420, a great number. For a goal over at FanDuel for him to find the back of the net. He did score in his last game. He's getting an opportunity. It's the Sharks.
Yep.
It's not like
that's a great call. That's a great call, man. Playing on the top line, like
he is here. What do we got here from him? Oh, I'm here. Sorry, just listening. Hayton, he's shutting it down. He doesn't like it. Hayton hasn't been great, but he finally looks like he's putting it all together. I don't mind that call. The Yotes play the Sharks tough. The Yotes have been playing a lot of teams tough, haven't they? I mean, they lost 4-1 to Pitt. They lost to Detroit. Yeah, they do have a bunch of losses in a row, but I feel like they've been playing teams tough. I mean, they beat Colorado. They went on a nice 3-game winning streak. LA, Colorado, Toronto, and then lost to Tampa, Florida, Philly, Chicago, Pitt. So they're back in back in the losing streak. But all right, last game of the night is in Florida and Colorado here. I got the over 6. Did you imagine this time last year if we saw Colorado and Florida playing, the total would be 7.5, it'd be juice, minus 130. So it's at 6 right now. You can get the over 6 plus money over at PointsBet. I'm seeing it starting to move. Over 6.5 is plus money mostly everywhere. We talked about Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon is always in play no matter what. Last year we saw some props for him at 5.5. But this is the thing. You can't take him as a single at minus 143, minus 155 for McKinnon to have 5 shots. So you do have to put him into a parlay, and he's even money. He's minus 120 for 2 points tonight. So Vegas is thinking that he's going to get 2 points. I think we're going to see some offense, man. I know it's not the same Florida team. It's really not even the same Colorado team, but there's still a lot of firepower on both of these squads. So I'm going to take the over 6.5.
Yeah, I think this would be a fun game. McKinnon, I got at 135, and Rantanen is minus 105, but I think he scores. On the Florida side, I got Brady Tkachuk at 155 and Reinhart at 205. Reinhart's playing the right wing on that top line and playing on the top power play. So, I mean, as far as like a bet on the Florida side to score, I don't know if there's someone better.
Yeah, I like that he's on that top line. Sometimes he gets buried, right? And Florida does this too with their lines. They're all over
moving around all the time. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's just way too much. But the second line is Bennett, Tkachuk, and Verhaeghe. So Reinhart up on that top line with Lundell and Barkov. So I love the Reinhart call. In fact, I probably it's enough for me to consider a shot prop at plus 100, 2.5, playing with Barkov, who's a pass first guy.
Yep.
Not seeing any other props for Reinhart. I know it's the late game, so it may show up a little bit later, but he's probably going to be close to even money for a point, and he should be like plus 150, plus 160 for an assist tonight. So I think that's a great call. I love that one from you. And we'll see what happens with Nichushkin, because he's pretty close. I think he's been skating. He's still considered day-to-day here. He didn't join the Avs in the 2-game road trip, but they're back home here tonight against Florida. So it's possible. It's possible that this guy suits up. And I do want to give a little bit of love to Evan Rodriguez as well, as maybe a shot prop guy. Minus 145, maybe put him into a parlay late night action. He's playing a career high 19 minutes per game with Florida compared to like 15 last year with the Pens. And he had a breakout campaign last year. And when he's healthy, he is scoring some goals. That'll do it. I'll lean to Colorado in that game, but I like the over more so. Okay, so I'll go with the teams that I like, and then we'll throw to you for some goals, just what I have here. I have some overs. I have Seattle, Buffalo over. I have Winnipeg and Vancouver over. I have Colorado and Florida over. I like Carolina. I like Winnipeg. I like Dallas. I have a lean to the under between Minnesota and New York, and that's what I got for sides and totals. Blue Jackets puck line, but whatever. What do you got?
All right. Buckle up.
Okay.
Point, Stamkos, Line, Johnson, Gensel, Raquel, Horvat, Pedersen, Connor, Scheifele, Larkin, Fabry, Thompson, Cousins, McCann, Beniers, Svechnikov, Pacioretty, Hughes, Bratt, Zibanejad, Kravtsov, Kaprizov, Hartman, Robertson, Sagan, Nelson, Lee, Toffoli, Huberdeau, Kyrou, Buchnevich, Meyer, Couture, Keller, Krause, McKinnon, Rantanen, Tkachuk, Reinhart, and the 8-way Madman parlay is Gensel, Kaprizov, Stamkos, Hughes, Connor, Robertson, Meyer, and Rantanen.
I like it. I dig it. I just hope. Yeah, I hope you hit it, but I really hope Jake.
I haven't hit on one of them yet, but
you've been 7 for 8 a couple times, right? At least once.
Yeah, I've been 6 or 7 on almost every single one, which is.
Holy.
I'm just going to keep doing it until I win. I'm not telling you to do it. If you're watching the show, listening, do not do this. Do not do that. I'm doing it for the entertainment value, and I'm a stubborn MFer. I'm going to get one of these 8 ways to hit.
We talked before about doing a combo. You can split up 4 and 4 if you
Yep.
wanted to do it that way. You can split it up 2 and 2 and 2. You can take them all as singles if you wanted to as well. Those are Eric's favorite 8 goal scorers. I don't want to confuse anybody, but I will rattle off some goal scorers as well. And I think a lot of them, I think we're on the same page for a lot of these goal scorers, but I like Alex Tuck. And I like Matty Beniers again. I like Jack Hughes and Max Pacioretty. I'm shying away from Minnesota and New York. If I were to pick one, it would be Matt Boldy for me. On the Rangers side, I would go with Mika Zibanejad. For Vancouver, I'll go with Kuzmenko. I mean, it's tough. Bo Horvat's been scoring, but I'll go with Kuzmenko. But I like Jake Gensel a lot. For Tampa Bay, I like Braden Point and Brendan Hagel. For the Jets, I like Nikolai Ehlers. For the Stars, I like Tyler Seguin tonight. I think, especially if there's no Rupe Hintz. For the Flames, let's do it. Mikhail Backlund scores tonight. Why not? On the other side, Jordan Kyrou, San Jose, Hurdle. Obviously, Myers in there. And the long shot would be Hayton at plus 420. And then for Florida, I'm with you on Sam Reinhart. And I do like Nathan McKinnon, but if you're looking for a little bit of value, I suppose we can go Arturi Lehkonen or Evan Rodriguez. For shot props tonight, Edward Collins in the house. He says he's parlaying Backlund and Hurdle. There it is. Love it. Those are two of my favorites, Edwin. Good luck tonight. I got Tuck here for 2.5, Jack Hughes 3.5, Pacioretty 3.5 is plus 136. It's the Hughes and Pacioretty ones are they feel like longer shots tonight because the teams are stingy. But I would do Hughes 3.5, not 4.5. Hughes 3.5. I think that's only a bet reverse play. Boldy, Gensel, Sagan, if no hints, Backlund, Hurdle, Keller, Timo Meyer, Panarin's plus money. For points, go check out the Kraken. I mean, we talked about at the top of the show, one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. Matty Beniers is minus 125 for a point. Eberle, Burakovsky, great prices. Vince Dunn plus money for a point. Tuck is a little bit more juice, but I like him. Kuzmenko, I like for a point. Sagan's plus 124 for a point, like plus 200 for an assist. So that's the way that I would go there. And I think that's it. I think we've done it. McKinnon, I didn't mention, but of course, 4.5 shots. Absolutely. All right. I think we've done it. 10 games. I believe we have 13 on Thursday. So buckle up. Good luck tonight on the ice. Joey says, great show. Let's cash these 14 laggers. We're absolutely psychos on this show, but we appreciate your time. PointsBet Canada, Game Plus Network, Anthem Sports Entertainment, Tyler, Fox, George, Eric Young, myself, Chris Meaney, and all of you guys. Smash the like button if you can. Rate, review, subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. Good luck on the ice, and we'll see you on Thursday. Cheers.